Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a really fun one because I picked up some new products from e.l.f. They have had so many exciting new launches recently, and the curiosity really got the better of me for some of these. I've got the new Lash Extender Mascara, I've got the Camo Liquid Blushes, the new lip liners, one of the new lip oils, and a few other products that I've just always wanted to try from e.l.f. So if you're interested in seeing my first impressions and this full face of e.l.f. look that I did, just keep on watching. Alright, so I'm actually going to start this video off with brows. I am running low on my current brow gel, which is the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter, and I really like that one, but it is a little on the spendy side, and I've heard really good things about a couple of the e.l.f. brow setting products, so I wanted to give them a try. So I picked up the e.l.f. Soap Brow and the e.l.f. Brow Lift, and these are both kind of similar products, or at least they have similar claims. So my thought was that I could try out both, see which one I like, and do some like comparisons. They're both the kind of product that is supposed to go on clean brows though, so I'm going to start with brows so I can make sure that I have these on a clean base before I have any other makeup. I also purchased the Brow Lift applicator to use with the Brow Lift because it has a spoolie on one side and then it's got like a little spatula on the other side that I think you're supposed to use to like really push the brows down onto your face. I will say I'm not like going for a super obviously laminated look with my brows, but I find for my particular brows, which are really like fine and wiry and long, in order for them to stay and to stay lifted, I do kind of have to do that laminating type application of really pushing them into the skin. So let me zoom you in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and do the brow lift on this side and the soap brow on this side so that we can have a really clear comparison. So here's what the brow lift looks like. You can see I've played with this one other time, but it's just like a clear jelly almost. It's almost a little bit weird looking in the pot. So I just kind of roll my spoolie around in here. I don't know how much of this you're actually supposed to apply, but my general feeling is that my brows need a lot of help, so I end up kind of applying more than maybe I need to. And I'm actually gonna like back comb this through to really coat the brow hairs and then go back the other way to push them how I want them. It's kind of a weird sensation to explain, but it feels kind of thick. Okay, so that is combed through the brows. Now I'm going to take the other side, which is the spatula, and just push the brows down onto my face. Again, I don't like a super laminated look. Like I don't want all my brows sticking straight up, so if there's any that are just a little bit higher than I want, I just kind of tame them down. So that's what we're working with so far on this side. It doesn't feel wet on application, like it definitely feels set in there, but I still think it's good to apply this several steps before you're going to fill in your brows so that it has a chance to really set and hold, so you're not messing things up when you are doing your filling in step. For the soap brow, this is what it looks like. It's just kind of like a bar of soap in there. It reminds me a lot of the Beauty Blender like solid cleanser. So I'm just going to take some setting spray. This is the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set, and I'm going to spray a little bit in the pot, like on top of the soap. And then I'm also going to spray my spoolie. I'm using just a KJH and Spectrum spoolie that I have, and then basically like scrub it around to make almost like a lather. Probably really late to the game on these brow products. I feel like most of you, if you had an interest in these, you probably have already tried them. So let us know in the comments if you have any experiences with these and if there's one that you prefer. But I'm just going to do the same thing, back comb. I just want to coat every little hair and then comb back through the right way. And with this, as I'm like brushing, I'm also pushing it down into my skin again to help that hopefully stay lifted. So here is the soap brow side, here is the brow lift side. My right eyebrow tends to be just like a little bit better in general in terms of like its shape. It's a little bit more lifted and I've got more natural hairs. Once we get these filled in, I think they'll look a little bit more even. The only thing with the soap brow, and I noticed this with the first time I tried it too, is that I can see little white pieces of soap in my brows. I feel like there's a chance that those could fall out on my face through the day as they dry out, and also have the potential to disrupt when I fill in my brows with my brow powder, the powder like being able to stick to my skin. We'll see when we get to that step if that becomes an issue, because I've also heard makeup artists say that having something for brow powder to stick to is good in your brows. So having a product already down can be a good thing. And I have been really loving filling my brows in with a brow powder, so I don't want to have to change back to a brow pencil or a brow pen if I don't have to, just because the brow powder looks so natural. So we'll just let these set for a while and we will revisit the brows in a bit. Another product I picked up that I'm late to the game to is the Halo Glow Liquid Filter. So this is supposed to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, which all of the writing on mine is rubbed off. But this is one of my favorite products in my collection. I use it as a glowy primer before my foundation, and I also mix it in with my foundations just to add a little bit of extra hydration and radiance to them. So I was really curious to try the e.l.f. equivalent because obviously it's a lot more affordable, they have more shades. And I've also heard that this guy has more coverage. I've seen a lot of people online using this as like their coverage product. I personally have never found that the Hollywood Flawless Filter would be something I would want to use by itself, just because it's a little bit too highlighting and it highlights things that I would rather have matte, like my pores and the area around my nose. But I'm curious to see the coverage level on this one, and also if it would be something that maybe I would want to wear for like a day-to-day base. I got the shade 0.5 Fair, and I feel like it's actually pretty close to my shade in the Charlotte Tilbury. The Charlotte Tilbury is the shade 2 Light. I'll just do a little swatch actually to do a direct comparison. Okay, so the e.l.f. is on top and the Charlotte Tilbury is on the bottom. The Charlotte Tilbury is actually still lighter, and I think this is the lightest shade in the e.l.f. range, so that's interesting. Just right off the bat, the Charlotte Tilbury one does seem to look a little bit more radiant. And I see what people mean about the coverage in the e.l.f. one. I'll just show you that again. So that's both of them kind of sheared out. This side is the e.l.f. and this side is the Charlotte Tilbury. You can see the Charlotte Tilbury is really kind of sheer and radiant. And the e.l.f. is giving radiance, but maybe a touch more pigment. So I'm just gonna apply this like I would the Charlotte Tilbury one, which is going right on my face with it, and then blending in with my fingers. That definitely did even out my redness as I'm kind of blending it in. Wow. And it made my skin look really pretty on my cheeks. Okay, so that actually looks a lot nicer than I thought it would. I thought it was gonna do kind of what the Charlotte Tilbury one does, which is drawing a lot of attention to the areas that I don't really want to have a lot of highlight on, but this actually has made my skin look really nice. It evened everything out, but it also gave me a glow. I could definitely see myself wearing this for like a no makeup kind of a day where I just want to look like my skin's really hydrated and maybe like I did a really glowy skincare routine. Wonder if it builds up in coverage. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more just to see what happens. Just because it definitely seems to be a light coverage on its own, which again would be nice for like an everyday look, but I'm wondering if I can get any more coverage out of it if I wanted some more coverage for the day, or if it's just gonna add more glow. Maybe a touch more coverage with the second layer, but I think it primarily added more glow. So yeah, if you were having like a pretty confident skin day, I feel like a light layer of this all over your face and really, you know, if you were going for like a light makeup look, that might actually be really, really pretty, but obviously not one for if you're needing more coverage or feeling like you want a more like flawless or matte base. And I can imagine those of you with oily skin would not want to just wear this by itself. We'll see how it looks when I powder it down, if it's like, if it gets down to a little bit more of a manageable level of glow, but like my forehead right now, even for me with dry skin, that's a little bit too shiny for my liking, but I do think it looks really pretty. And I do see why people think it's a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury, because it just gives that really nice, like refined glowiness to the face. It just looks like you've got a really good skincare routine, like you take really good care of your skin. So it's nice to know that we are able to get that look for a much more affordable price tag from e.l.f. I also picked up a second Halo Glow in a much deeper shade. This is in the shade 6 Tan Deep, and I've seen a few people online using the Halo Glow as their base and then using a deeper shade as a bronzer. So I kind of wanted to try that again for like an everyday, maybe no makeup kind of a look, to put a little bit of bronziness into my face in a really natural way. So I am going to try that. I'm a little bit nervous because it does have that pigment to it, so I'm just going to go very lightly with this and do some tiny dots. Let's just start with that and see what happens. Even just that tiny amount was like enough to bronze the entire side of my face. So these have pigment to them. Just take whatever's left kind of across my nose. Okay, so this is really pretty. I feel like this is a really nice kind of like beachy summer vibe. Like in the summertime, if you just wanted to look really glowy and have a little bit of a bronze to your skin, I feel like that combo could be really, really nice. Looking at myself in the viewfinder, I am crying out desperately for some powder just because I feel like things are getting really shiny. And I also need to conceal under my eyes because my under eye darkness doesn't really go with the overall vibe. But looking at my skin in real life, I really like the way that it looks. It looks like skin. It looks like I just have a nice tan and really hydrated, juicy skin. But yeah, a little bit definitely goes a long way with this if you are going to use it as a bronzer. I think this would also be a really good mix-in product for when I get a little bit more sun and I want my foundations to match me a little bit better. I feel like this would be beautiful to mix in because it's just going to give any foundation not only a little bit more of a bronze, but more of a glowy, kind of more radiant texture. So I feel like I may get potentially even more use out of it that way in the spring and summer months, but I was influenced and I feel like so far it's paying off. So let's go in with some concealer. I only have one e.l.f. concealer and it's this one, the Camo Concealer in the matte finish. I have the shade Light Sand, and this one is definitely medium to full coverage, I would say. It's one of the most full coverage concealers that I personally have in my collection, which again is really great if you're looking for more coverage in a concealer that you can get from the drugstore. But I just like to apply really small amounts of this because a little bit goes a long way. And then since this is the matte version, I like to blend it in with my fingers. I just feel like the warmth of my fingers with this particular texture helps it to blend and not look dry on me. See how pretty that looks? It's just like a tiny dot of concealer, but pressed in with my finger, I feel like it looks very natural and skin-like. But I have definitely overdone it with this concealer and it has the potential to look drying and a little bit creasy. And now it's time for one of the products that I was so excited to try. This is a new release from e.l.f. It's one of their Camo liquid blushes. I got the shade Pinky Promise, which is supposed to be like a bright, cool pink. And I'm really excited to try this out. I've heard that these are supposed to be a dupe for the Rare Beauty blushes. Other people have said that they are a little bit more like the Say blushes in texture because they are that little bit dewy. It looks like a little bit does go a long way with this, but it's definitely shearing out nicely, and you can see that's picking up nice and dewy on my skin. I'm gonna have a very dewy, hydrated look today with all of these products together, but that looks really, really pretty and promising. So let's try some on my face. Maybe I should actually pick up what's on my hand on my brush and go from there, because I feel like this has the potential to just be really pigmented and overpowering. That looks really nice. I'm gonna be brave and go straight in on my face because I feel like I need a little bit more than what was on the back of my hand. Maybe just a couple of small dots. There we go. There's that pigment I was looking for. It's really pretty. Let me turn my lights down a little bit so hopefully you can see the true tone. It's actually not as pigmented as I was expecting. Like, because it's dewy, when the light hits it, it just sort of diffuses the pigmentation of the blush a little bit. Well, I say that, and then this side is going on a much heavier. Let's see if I can spread out this pigment here. Okay, so I take that back. Definitely plenty of pigment in these. I would start slow for sure, maybe just one dot and go from there. But that being said, I do feel like this is really pretty. Again, it just looks very skin-like. The texture is just like really pretty blushed, juicy skin. I am a little bit worried or curious about the longevity of this just because it is dewier, and I like my cream and liquid blushes to have longevity because I like to have a blushed look, so I don't want my blush to go away within the first couple hours of wearing my makeup. So I will be curious to see how this wears over the course of the day, and I'll keep you updated. I may end up doing a reel or something on my Instagram about this, so I'll try to update you in that video, but so far so good. I think it's really pretty. I think it's really natural looking. The only Rare Beauty blush I tried was in a really light shade, so I didn't get the same amount of like pigment and payoff as I've seen other people get. But I would say if you felt like the Rare Beauty blushes were a little too much for you, this might actually be a really nice alternative because it seems to be like a step down in terms of like payoff and a step up in terms of the dewiness. So it ends up just looking really natural and pretty on the cheeks. So yeah, we'll see how it wears by the end of this video, but so far I think it's really pretty. And I love the color. It's such a pretty, almost like a natural shade for me, like the shade that I would naturally go when I blush or with a sunburn. So I feel like it's working really well with the natural glowy vibes that we have going on. I am going to introduce a little bit of powder though, because I took this haul as an excuse to pick up a product that I have wanted to try it for so long from e.l.f. This is the Prime and Stay Finishing Powder in the shade Light, and I have heard Julia Adams talk about this powder for years as a dupe for the Pat McGrath under eye blurring powder, which if you watch my channel at all, you know I love. I use this every time I do my makeup, and I obviously have significant pan on it, but it is Pat McGrath, and finding a more budget-friendly alternative would obviously be great. So I'm really excited to try this out. I'm actually going to use one of these little powder puff things. I just picked up a pack of these from Amazon, and I've been enjoying using this with my other powders. So I'm going to use that with the e.l.f. one as well. Before I do that though, let me just put a little bit of eye primer on so that I can set my eyes to prep for eyeshadow. This is the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer, by the way. I actually don't know if e.l.f. has an eye primer aside from their shadow sticks, but this is also a really affordable product. I think it's like $7 at Ulta, and it's my favorite eyeshadow primer that I've ever tried, so I figured I would mention it. Just tap out any creases from the under eyes and then go right in with the powder. So just from what it looks like on the puff, it looks like it has a really finely milled texture, which the Pat McGrath one does as well. Oh, wow. Wow, do you see the difference? That just mattified and blurred all of these pores right here in the center of my face so beautifully. And it also definitely blurred my under eyes as well. I think it really might be a dupe for the Pat McGrath one. This is so exciting. I'm gonna do the other side here. Wow, okay, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but my skin right here in the areas where I put that powder looks airbrushed. Like it looks like a doll. Let me keep you close up while I do the forehead so you can see what that looks like going on. And just like that, it's completely cut the shine. Wow, this is powerful. Just a little bit of that powder really does a lot of work to smooth and blur everything. I feel like it is absolutely a dupe for the Pat McGrath one, which is amazing news. Just thinking how this would work for deeper skin tones. Here's some swatches. I don't know how helpful this is gonna be, but this one is the Pat McGrath and this one is the e.l.f. Look how similar those look, even in terms of like the texture. Yeah, they are almost spot on dupes. So that is amazing. I knew I trusted Julia Adams, but I just had to find out for myself. And I'm so glad I picked this one up because this is so exciting. As I said, I use the Pat McGrath one literally every day in my makeup. So now I have a more affordable go-to option to use and also to share with all of you if you're looking for something really blurring and smoothing either through the center of your face if you have larger pores or underneath your eyes if your under eyes are dry or you have fine lines like I do. I feel like my under eyes look beautiful and not dry at all. So that is excellent news. I think I'm just gonna also set the Halo Glow that we used as the bronzer with the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sun-Kissed. I already had this one in my collection. It's a really nice bronzer and honestly, a pretty close dupe, in my opinion, to the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. I have the shade Medium in the Charlotte Tilbury, and this shade Forever Sun-Kissed is really, really close. I feel like they do have really similar blurring textures and just finely milled and sort of have that airbrush effect. It's so funny because I feel like e.l.f. now is trying to be almost like a dupe brand with the contour wands and the camo blushes. And meanwhile, they had these other two products that were almost sort of like unintentional dupes, or maybe they were intentional, but they didn't really market it that way. I'm going to curl my lashes and then I'm gonna do my eyes with an e.l.f. eyeshadow quad that I already had in my collection. This is the e.l.f. Bite Size Quad in Rose Water. I already had this one in my collection, but it's a really pretty kind of mauvey color story. So I'm just gonna start with this matte kind of pebble shade and put that in the crease. I feel like a lot of people have tried the bite-sized quads and really like them. I think they're great. The e.l.f. eyeshadow formula I feel like is really actually very, very good. Thinner formula, but still very just smooth and pretty in the way it sits on the lids. I'm gonna take a little bit of this deepest shade on a denser brush and put that in the outer corner. And then I'll also take that deepest shade on the lower lash line. Get a nice little smoky moment going. Just blend out that darker shade with the lighter matte that we started with. I also love these quads because they just come with a built-in eyeshadow look. So it's really easy. You don't even really have to think about it. You just kind of put the look together automatically. Although I do think there's a little bit of variety that you can do when building looks. Okay, and then I'm gonna take the two shimmers. So I'll do the lightest one in the inner part of my eye and this slightly deeper, rosier one on the lid. And these shimmers are actually really pretty too. They're really smooth, but impactful. There is the eye look. So now we can move on to another really exciting release from e.l.f. This was honestly kind of one of the reasons why I ended up placing this e.l.f. order. I asked on my Instagram if anyone had tried this and no one really had. So I figured I would take one for the team and go ahead and pick it up and let you all know my thoughts on it. This is the Lash Extender Mascara, and this is e.l.f.'s new tubing mascara. So judging by the color of the packaging, I'm thinking they were trying to dupe the Thrive Cosmetics tubing mascara, which is probably my favorite tubing mascara that I've tried. And I do have to use a tubing mascara these days because my eyes are pretty hooded and I get a lot of mascara transfer on my eyebrow area if I don't. But the Thrive is like $30-something, and I do have to replace my mascaras quite often. I typically go 3 to 4 months just because I have had eye infections in the past and I just am now very strict about that. So $30-something every 3 months really adds up. A lot of the more affordable tubing mascaras that I've tried, there's just always something a little bit not ideal about them. Either they don't give me enough volume, or they kind of clump together as I try to build them, or they flake throughout the day. So I'm really, really excited to try this one from e.l.f. It's $7, and $7 every 3 months is a lot easier to swallow than 30. So got a nice kind of tapered brush here with lots of plastic bristles. And there were a couple of shades in this. I got the shade Pitch Black. I think there was a softer black, and then there was also a brown. And I'm just gonna start applying this like I normally would. I feel like first impressions of mascaras also have to be taken with a grain of salt, because when you first open a mascara, it's always a little bit different than what it's gonna be in a few weeks' time. I always tend to like my mascaras more the longer they've been open so that they have a chance to dry out. And I find I get a better build with a drier formula. So just take this for what you will, but so far I feel like I'm getting a lot of separation and length. You see, do I need to zoom you in slightly? So just with one coat, I feel like my lashes are really fanned out nicely, and I'm getting some good separation, but I'm definitely going to do at least one more coat, if not two, to see if we can build up a little more volume. Here's the second eye. One coat. Really pretty so far. I feel like that's an encouraging sign. I just really hope I can get a little bit more onto the lashes. And that first coat dried down pretty quickly, so work quickly between coats, I would say. There's 2 coats, so I'm definitely able to get some more volume going, which is really, really nice. I am loving the way that this looks so far. You might almost want to do like one eye at a time, like go ahead and do your 2 coats on one eye before starting on the other eye, just because it does seem to dry really, really quickly. But I'm pretty happy with that for 2 coats. I feel like that second coat really gave me the volume I was looking for. Super pretty length and like fanning out of the lashes with one coat, but then that second coat just really took everything up a notch. And I feel like I'm getting more impact from my lashes, which is what I want. Let's go ahead and try it on the lower lashes. Perfect for the lower lashes. It just really fanned those out too and gave me some good definition without looking super clumpy. So I don't know, what do you all think? I feel like this is really, really pretty. I don't know if it's a dupe for the Thrive because they seem to just have like completely different formulas and even different brushes and everything, but so far, so good. I will have to keep you all posted for my thoughts on this. Make sure you're following my Instagram because I will likely update there with my thoughts, but first impressions are very encouraging. All right, let's get these brows on because I have gone this whole video with just very lifted but sparse eyebrows. So I am going to take my usual brow powder. This one, the one that I've been using is from a product that no longer exists, but it's the Essence How to Make Brows Wow kit. And I just used this deepest shade here. I decluttered this and then I ran out of my brow pencil, so I ended up recluttering it into my collection, and I've actually been really liking it and enjoying using a brow powder again. Okay, so this is the side that I used the soap brow on. I have to say it feels set, but still movable. Like if I push too hard, I feel like my brows would definitely move out of the shape that I've set them in. The brow lift side feels a little bit more stable. Like if I tried to move my brows, they wouldn't go anywhere unless I did it really, really aggressively. So we'll see how these withstand using my little angled brush to fill in the gaps. I do feel like I have less filling in to do altogether though, because of the way that I was able to like separate my brow hairs so that it looks like they are just generally fuller, which is always nice. And I feel like this brow looks really good. Still natural, but lifted and defined. So let's do the brow lift side. This is my brow that needs more help, because this is the one that refuses to grow hair down here and also just sits a little bit lower on my face. Honestly, don't come to me for brow advice. I am not an expert. I just kind of do the best I can with what I have. So I know I could probably be a little bit more precise with my filling in, but at some point you just gotta get it done. I definitely feel like the brow powder doesn't really want to stick on this side. Like it's sticking, but it's sticking to the hairs and not the skin. Sticking to the hairs that have the brow lift on them more so than the skin around those hairs. But altogether, I feel like this brow also looks good. Maybe a touch less feathery than this side. Like this side definitely looks like it has a more natural feathered effect, and this side looks more like mattified and stuck to my face. But I don't hate either side. All right, let's do lips, and then I will do a roundup of all the things that were new that I tried today and give you kind of my closing thoughts on them. So I did pick up 2 of the new lip releases from e.l.f. So I picked up one of the Cream Glide lip liners in the shade, I think it's called Baddest Beige. It's not on the actual pencil, but I feel like I remember ordering that shade. And then the Glow Reviver lip oil in the shade Honey Talks. I like that these pencils are wood because you can sharpen them to a really nice point, which is what I like in a lip liner, and they're also only $2. I was hoping that this would be a cooler toned nude, almost like a dupe for my Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude. And this does seem to be on the cooler side. It's a little lighter than Iconic Nude though, so not a perfect dupe, but still a nice tone for me, I think. Very easy application. It does just seem to glide on even though it is in a wooden pencil. Sometimes the wooden pencils can be a little bit dry and kind of tug on your lips. That one did not have that issue at all. And now let's try on the lip oil. These look so pretty. I've seen so many people who already have their hands on them and they just look shiny. You know, sometimes you just want your lips to look really glossy. I feel like this is gonna have that look. Oh yeah. And they smell really good, like a really refreshing, like spearmint scent. And look at that shine. So pretty. I think this is a really nice shade too. It's a nice nude without being too brown or too orangey, but mostly I just love the shine. I feel like I would even like the clear one of these because it seems pretty sheer. Feels pretty light on the lips, but very comfortable, and it feels very moisturizing. Okay, so let's recap. I tried quite a few new products or new products to me today. We started with the brows. So I tried out the soap brow on this side and the brow lift on this side. I think they're both good, at least from my first couple of uses. I think it's going to come down to your preference. So pros of the soap brow, it gives a really beautiful lifted and naturally feathered effect to the brows, which I think is really, really pretty. I like that feathered look that just looks a touch more natural than a really like shellacked laminated look. But the cons of this one are that you have the potential to get little pieces of soap in your brow. Now that my brows are filled in and the rest of my makeup is done, I don't see those little pieces anymore, but I do kind of worry that, you know, as the day goes on, there could potentially be some flaking. So that's something I will have to report back on. Pros of the brow lift, I think this one is definitely easier to apply. You don't have to use any setting spray. It's just its own like all-in-one product, so you don't have to carry around an extra product. And it definitely seemed to almost immediately set my brows. Like there was really no dry down time. And my brows feel a lot sturdier on this side of my face than on this side of my face. Again, it's that trade-off. Like, do you want a more natural feathered effect, or do you want your brows to really be stuck on there and to set? Potential cons of this one are that I did have a harder time getting my brow powder through my brows, just because I feel like this is such a strong hold product. It really set my brows down to my skin and made it a little bit harder to get that brow product through. But overall, I feel like as of right now, I like both of these products for different purposes. Like if I wanted a more natural day-to-day look, I would definitely go for the soap brow because I just love how feathered and pretty that is. But if I have a really long day, I'm gonna be wearing my makeup for an extended amount of time and I don't want my brows going anywhere, I would go for the brow lift just because this one feels a little bit more long wearing to me. Then we tried the Halo Glow liquid filter. I think this is beautiful. If I'm honest with myself, I'm not sure I would wear this as my base product or as my only coverage product day to day, although I do think that looked really pretty. I know that I'm probably going to end up using this the same way that I do my Charlotte Tilbury, which is as an all over glowy primer before foundation, or as a mix in with foundations that I want to add a little bit of glow to. I feel like the difference between the two is negligible enough to where you might as well go for the cheaper option. I do love the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless though. I think there is something really special and unique about this one that this one doesn't have. But the overall effect, if you're just looking for the effect of a glowy primer or a glowy mixer into your foundation, that this one is just as good. And if you're somebody who just wants a really evened out glowy complexion and you're not too worried about coverage, you might really like this as an all-over base because I do think it's really pretty on the skin. I was afraid that this was going to be glittery, like there were going to be glitter particles because the Charlotte Tilbury one is very refined in the glow. It doesn't have obvious glitter, but that is not the case with this. I don't feel like there's any glitter whatsoever. It's just more of like a dew and a shine and a glow. So that is really great. I think the idea of using the deeper shade as a bronzer is a really cool idea and a fun idea. But again, if I'm honest with myself, I probably wouldn't do that unless it was like a day where I really wanted my skin to look natural, but I wanted to have a little bit of a bronziness to it. I already know though that I'm gonna get a ton of use out of this when it comes to deepening up foundations and making them glowier in one. So instead of having to use like a bronzing drops type product and a glow type product to mix into my foundation, I can just use this. So I think this is going to be a really good one to have in my collection to tailor my foundations in terms of the amount of tan that I have and the amount of glow that I want on my skin. Next up, we tried the Camo Liquid Blush. I think this is a really beautiful product, but it is not what I expected. I was expecting a very high pigment, honestly matte liquid blush. I was expecting basically what I've seen the Rare Beauty one to be, and I don't think this is that. So if you're going in with that expectation that it's going to be just like the Rare Beauty one, you might be disappointed. But if you think of this as its own product, I think you might be more excited about it. It does have pigment to it, but generally it's very skin-like in the application. It's very dewy, it's very thin, and looking at my skin right now, my skin just looks really pretty. The flush that I have just looks natural, and it doesn't look like I have heavy blush on my skin at all. It's almost like it just kind of melted into my skin. Thinking about this as a product on its own, I think it's a really beautiful blush product. I think it would work really well to layer with a powder blush if you wanted to have some really nice dew, but you needed more longevity. I think setting this with a powder blush would solve that issue, but we'll see how it wears. I'm gonna keep playing with it and hope that it lasts throughout the day because I really think this is beautiful and I really like the way that it looks on my skin. One of the standouts from this video is absolutely the Prime and Stay finishing powder. This is stunning, like as a formula. It's so finely milled, it's very blurring and very just kind of soft focus on the face. In that way, I think this is absolutely 100% a dupe for the Pat McGrath. Maybe one of the most successful dupes that e.l.f. has ever done, potentially without even trying to. So yes, if you were interested in the Pat McGrath one, obviously I still think this one is great, but if you just wanted a more budget option, definitely pick this up. If you are looking for a affordable blurring or setting powder, I would totally 100% recommend this, especially for the under eyes. If you struggle with that area, like the rest of my face, I can kind of give or take what my powder looks like, but my under eyes, I am very particular about that area because it can just look so dry and unflattering. And my under eyes right now look about as good as they are ever gonna look at the age of 30. So I am really, really happy with this purchase. The other major standout from this video is the Lash Extender Mascara. I am so pleasantly surprised with this. I feel like it's only going to get better with time as I continue using it and it dries out a little bit. That's when mascaras just really hit that sweet spot where they're at their best. But the fact that it's already looking this good after a first use, a brand new bottle that I just opened, is really, really encouraging. I feel like I've got really good lift. My lashes look fluttery and pretty, but I've got good volume. And I'm really, really hoping that this wears well through the day and that taking it off is easy as it should be with the tubing mascara. So I will keep you all updated either here or on my Instagram or TikTok. But fingers crossed this continues to impress because as of right now, I can't see myself not recommending it, especially for those of you who really rely on a tubing mascara but want one that still gives your lashes lots of impact. I feel like they've really done something with this formula. And finally, we have the lip liner and the lip oil. I think both of these are great. I don't really think you can go wrong. The lip liner is $2 and I think this is a really pretty shade, but I would also be up for trying other shades as well. It seems like a really nice formula. Again, I can't really speak to the longevity of this yet, but so far so good. And then the lip oil, I mean, I don't know why I would need to buy like a Dior or a Clarins lip oil if I have this as an option. It's so lovely on the lips. It's very comforting and nourishing, but not sticky or thick. And the shine is beautiful. Again, would love to try more shades. It seems like a pretty sheer formula in terms of pigmentation, so I'm not sure the shades really matter too much, but this one does seem to have a touch of pigment to it, and I would be interested to see what some of the other more like berry or red shades would look like. And for the price, I mean, you just really can't beat it. Unless you don't like the smell of mint, because it does have a pretty strong mint smell, which I find to be very pleasant. I really like it. It's only when you're applying it that you really smell it. Like I don't smell it right now on my lips, and there's no tingling or anything like that. So definitely another one that I would recommend if you're looking for a really nice lip oil. Okay, so I think that that is everything from my first impressions of some new e.l.f. launches or just new to me products. I love e.l.f. I always have. I think they have some really high quality products for their price point. I would love to hear your holy grails from e.l.f. because I just love them. I love that they are affordable and accessible, and they really seem to be keeping up with the trends, but keeping their quality really high. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you will give it a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you would like to see more content from me. If there is another brand that you would like to see me do a full face of, let me know that in the comments down below as well. And until then, I will see you in my next video. Bye.